I gather that when you've been teaching this novel, that you've been trying to integrate this idea of social networks into the way that students interact with it. Can you tell us a bit about that?
That's right, yeah. So what I did was to write down the names of a lot of the minor characters in this book on slips of paper, and then have my students just draw names of minor characters. And so they were sort of responsible for trailing this minor character, through the novel as we read. But then what we did when we got to this chapter that I've just introduced to you here, with the pollen of gossip circulating around, was to actually stand up and try to arrange ourselves spatially in terms of strong and weak social ties, so that you would be standing very close to, let's say, a sibling or a husband or a wife or a parent, and farther from people whom you saw more incidentally. So in other words, we tried to sort of replicate a little bit the sort of the social network of this novel, and then send messages through that network, starting at different places, and to try to observe who was likely to tell whom, where information was likely to stall. So we sent different kinds of messages. The message that someone was with child or had given birth to a baby.
So these were just kind of imaginary, those weren't from the novel?
They were based on events in the novel.
Okay.
Yeah. And then finally we just sort of followed the way the news of Mr. Casaubon's addendum to the will had traveled, and it was very interesting to watch these messages often stall out between members of a household who can't tell one another because of social convention, or because they're ashamed, or because although they live together as, say, husband and wife, they don't actually talk about that kind of thing.
Right.
And instead to see news being shared among more casual acquaintances.